GEEKCASTER. How y'all doing? I'm Michael7Michael, and today we have in our virtual studio
Dayveonne Bussey.
Corey Davis.
Kendrick Gray, the dreadlock blurred was popping.
What's happening? Hey, we're watching GEEKCASTER. We're all watching. Hey, we're everything sci-fi, fantasy, and geek culture. Today we're going to talk about the Batman deleted scene, as well as a Batman spoiler alert. Gonna just go through the whole film. We talked about Batman dancing around things. This time we're going in. We're gonna talk about the Batman. So, okay. So what do you think, guys? You want to start off with the deleted scene, or you want to just go into the film itself?
You could probably just jump right into the film itself. The deleted scene will work its way in there somehow.
Yes, it will. What's happening? You're upside down, side by side. What's happening over there?
What's going on? What happened?
There you go.
That's better.
Cool. There you go. So yes, the Batman. The Batman. Listen, we've been waiting for a detective movie. Because Batman is a detective. He started out as a detective. It was a Detective Comics, right? Was the original title? So finally, we get a detective. The closest thing we got to that was the Michael Keaton 1989 Batman.
Yes.
So let's start there of what they did right. That's my 2 cents on that. Anyone else jump in? What do you think they did right in this one?
They kept it more thrilling, more suspenseful, more investigation type story mode, besides actually having to already know who the villain is. It just made you try to piece everything together to basically figure out what's the motive. We already figured out who the villain, but it was more what's the motive, what's the intent, what's the true end game for that particular villain.
Okay.
I mean, we'll never understand his thought process, but seeing how he's able to piece these things together and put himself in the mind of the criminal, show why he's the master detective, I thought they got that element really right in this film.
They definitely showed a Batman that was still relatively green to being the Batman. If you look back at the Dark Knight trilogy, and more specifically Batman Begins, when Bruce Wayne comes back to Gotham, he already goes to Wayne Tech. Well, he goes to Wayne Enterprises. He acquires all the equipment he needs to start his crusade, and everything for the most part is going his way as the Batman and Batman Begins. But here in the Batman, it just shows he's still not quite. He's still operating on just trying to instill fear in everybody that he comes into contact with. He's pretty much going for broke. So I like the idea that this Batman, or at least Robert Pattinson's Batman, is just a Batman who's just out there for he literally calls himself Vengeance. He doesn't outright call himself the Batman. He just calls himself Vengeance on a regular basis. So I think that's the one thing I appreciated the most out of this movie.
Okay. I could see that definitely. What else works there? I like the car. I like the Batmobile because one of the biggest problems. I mean, they even showed it in past film. Well, if you got all these fancy parts, it's easy for someone to track those things down and figure out that you're the Batman. So by taking a muscle car, I thought that was super interesting because that makes more sense. Take something that everybody knows, but you change it around a little bit. I thought that was clever, and it, from a fan perspective, stops that problem.
Yeah,
the
coming
Penguin
from
was-
the
yeah, exactly. The Penguin was great because the Penguin should be a mafioso type, so that was really well. My list of things that I love is about to end soon. But and any other aspects that you guys thought that was really good within this that stands out versus other Batman films?
The atmosphere. I think the atmosphere really stood out to me the most. It, really brought Gotham out more compared to all the other films. We had this little back in when Michael Keaton played Batman. It was too, should I say, comic bookish, but it was Tim Burton's design, the way he envisioned what the Batman was.
Yeah, very gothic. It was very gothic.
Yeah. And then you had the Christopher Nolan, which kind of relates to modern time.
Yeah.
And the currency at the time. This one felt like this was a mixture of what Gotham could be in real time, in a real universe, but it still had a little bit of a comic bookish environment.
Right.
So it was like, wow, the atmosphere made you actually feel like you was actually in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of the relationships. Like, it wasn't just Robert Pattinson's Batman was young in his career. Everyone was young in their career. With Detective Gordon, he wasn't Commissioner Gordon. So you're seeing the very beginning of Gotham and Batman's plight with Gotham. And the other aspect that I really, really enjoyed was Alfred and Batman's chemistry. Especially we haven't really gone that deep about why Alfred cares so much and why he's so, connected to Bruce.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a deeper sense of how much the Wayne family meant to Alfred.
Now, the thing is, that's interesting because we've seen a lot of that in the Gotham series. Otherwise, I think I would if you take out the series, then yes, they have not done that really in the film. So then I would have to agree. Kendrick, what do you think of the fight choreography? I didn't like it.
I'm going to be honest. As it stands right now, I think the best live action display of Batman's fighting style is still Batman v Superman. And whatever, depending, I can't change anybody's mind on how they feel about the movie. I enjoy Batman v Superman. I have the Blu-ray, the Ultimate Edition, on my shelf. I think out of every live action iteration of Batman we've ever gotten, that one captured Batman the best.
Interesting.
The Batman, the fighting is I accepted it on a level of the fact that, again, this is a year 2 Batman.
Exactly.
And granted, the origin is that he's traveled all over the world for years and years and years, learning various different forms of martial arts and stuff. But again, and this is what I tell people, I look at the Batman as like an Elseworlds DC movie. It's not into the main continuity. So it's not like Michael Keaton where he kind of just one-shotted people. Or it wasn't like the Dark Knight trilogy. And I've people who've known me have known my dislike for the choreography in the Dark Knight trilogy. I absolutely hate it. I don't know why they give Batman that fighting style in the Dark Knight trilogy. I'd say the only fight I relatively enjoyed throughout the entire trilogy is the first Bane versus Batman fight. That's only because Bane was beating him down. That's the only reason why I enjoyed it. I'll tell people I was engaged in that fight. Okay. Like if there's anything in that movie that's redeemable for the Dark Knight Rises is the first Bane versus Batman fight. Is that this one I kind of tolerated only because this is clearly a Batman who's just used. Again, he's fighting without a care in the world. He's like, I mean, I believe in a movie he says like, I don't care what happens to me. Mm-hmm. So like he's just fighting out of rage. He's not fighting like precision. He's not like, I mean, true, he's not killing people. Mm-hmm. So there's that. He's not fighting to kill, but he's just fighting just to beat everybody down. So
and see, that's interesting because from what you just said, if that was incorporated in the film where he was killing people and mm-hmm. then he grew into a character that wasn't doing that.
Right.
Because if you're vengeance, you want to punish.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Whatever happens. Oh well. Because if you don't care about yourself,
mm-hmm.
why would he care to be? Why would he care to be? Well, I don't care what happens to me, but I just want to hurt you. But I don't want you to die. I want to make sure you're okay. Like that doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense because like when you have that much rage, it does. When you have that much rage, right? You're fighting to end the fight as quick as possible. And that was his brutal style. And as you saw, he broke bones. He just overwhelmed his opponent as fast as he could and got out of there because he wanted to instill fear. That was his whole mantra in this film. But he also had a line that he did not want to cross. And we've talked about that. Like Batman does have this weird moray of where he wants to operate. He wants justice, but he knows that in order to fight evil, you have to get evil also, but you can't go all the way evil to destroy evil. You have to destroy evil with justice. And that's what his brutal fighting style looked like to me. And I thought they captured that really, really well.
It's funny because I think back to literally the opening fight of the movie. Mm-hmm. And we've all seen that. It was in the trailer that first dropped for the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, where he was like, who the hell are you supposed to be? Guy swings at him. He bats his face around, breaks his arm, then he bats his face in some more. Right. I thought out of the entire movie, that was the most, I guess, technically sound. And I'm using the term loosely. I'm using the word technical loosely. That was the most technically sound fight in the movie. Like everything else, you know, and it's funny because in Dayveonne, you'll know who I'm talking about. You know, we have a mutual acquaintance, you know, had a lot of things to say about that first trailer for the Batman, especially that fight scene. Right. And I had to go to him. I'm like, listen, his argument is that like Batman's supposed to be a ninja. I'm like,
no.
And I mean, to a degree, how he moves, how he operates in the shadows is ninja-like. But when it comes to fighting, he uses every technique at his disposal to take a criminal down. Now, it's also dependent, and I told him like it's also dependent on who he's fighting. If he's just fighting some low-life thug, he doesn't really have to do much. You know, like just a couple knockdowns upside the head, again an arm break, and that's it. You know, and it's like you said, he fights to incapacitate. He doesn't really fight to kill. Right. So, but like, I mean, just to, you know, finish off my point, like the fighting in this movie, I let it go. You know, because I'm at a point right now where I'm more interested in the detective stuff and all that stuff as opposed to just the fighting because we know the fighting's going to be there. You know, it is what it is. Yeah.
So there's no, you can't invest in anything. Like, it's interesting what you're saying because I do agree with you. That very first fight scene, which was the most important, right? Because in that very beginning, if we don't believe he's Batman, they lost the rest of the film.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that first couple of seconds, I was like, okay. All right, I'll play along. I wasn't like, yay, but it was enough to be, especially if you're going to be this brutal character. I just want to see the growth. The reason why I wish they went for he was just trying to like just destroys many people, because I think I would have bought into the vengeance more. And then, because we all know he grows into a character where he stops people, he ties them up, he knocks them out, he sprays a gas, right? He has to develop into that. But when you're in vengeance, you know, all right, so this is a good transition. So let's go to the things we didn't like. I didn't like all this attention on Catwoman. I felt that they could have edited a good amount of that out and really put in those other things, like, hey, transition the deleted scene, where it made a lot more sense. So again, spoiler alert, because we're just talking about it. At the end, when he's talking to Hush/Riddler, which I have issues with that as well, but Hush/Riddler, and then the Joker's like, I heard of your work and this and this and that. Well, how would he have seen or heard of his work if he's in jail?
Right.
Right, but it's perfect.
You
Because
have
Batman...
news.
Say it again?
You have news, like you're in jail, and so the caveat to that is they not only did they have news, not only did they show the live execution of Falcone, but all of his web stuff that he put out online, the Joker would have seen that, so it made sense. Like he would have had that information. It's Arkham. It's not like they don't have TVs or you know internet.
We don't know that. We're assuming. We don't know in that world if they have access to that, and also we don't know. But also, like, think about it. If you have someone like Joker, would you allow him to go online? Would you allow him to have an IG? Like,
yeah, because also remember Harley Quinn at when she's her psychiatrist, when she is his psychiatrist in the beginning, she's feeding him information. So because she was very, very enamored, I'm just going with the whole lore of it, right? Because that's what we're talking about. Right, so he's the Joker. He would have got information. You think any body in jail or a psych asylum still wouldn't get information because people are still coming in off the streets?
Okay, I'll ride with you on that. But I would say like, but the scene would have made a lot more sense if they left it in. Because he would, the Joker likes information, right? He takes like his character takes information and he twists it, right? And he plays with people. So with that, he would have, again, Batman giving him the file and having him able to look at all these things makes so much more sense for him to be, because every crackpot that's in Gotham, I mean, you know, think of like the Crown Prince of Crime, right? That's what Joker's supposed to be. That would make more sense if he had more detail. Not just here's somebody that did something, all right, that's cute, but oh, you did all that. Interesting.
I disagree.
You're not gonna put all that information in a on the news and stuff like that. You're not gonna have details on a crime that the cops are trying to investigate. Just like things that happen today. You're not gonna have tons of detail.
Well, let me intervene on this one. Well, as a person that analyzes and everything when it comes to criminal activities and when they're incarcerated and stuff like that, in a sense, Corey's right. But at the same time, it's not going to be, like you said, Michael, details by details. There is a form of people giving out, spreading information from people they know from the outside. So, of course, I could see maybe the Joker having his details from the outside or somebody that comes visit and telling him what's going on the outside while he's inside. So somebody has to probably relay him information.
The biggest thing I don't like about that deleted scene is the tone of it. I don't feel like it would have fit into the movie because I don't see why Batman would have gone to the Joker knowing that he's the Clown Prince of Crime, and I just thought that Crown Prince of Crime. Yeah. Sorry. Dry lips. I don't see. I would have saw that as a moment of weakness because he's a master detective, and there's no reason why he would have gone to the Joker for any sort of information.
Let's think about this for a second. This is year 2 of him being Batman, right? This is year 2.
But he's still a master detective at this point. He's already mastered every martial art, and he still has his
We're
code.
just assuming that because that's where we're basing that on Batman lore. Again, like I said, I look at this as an Elseworlds Batman story. So let's take that premise, right? The deleted scene. What did Joker say? Like, it's our 1 year anniversary. So basically what I'm equating that to is, and just by the way the Joker looked in the scene, the acid thing already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm assuming the acid thing already happened. That's why he looks jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
So more than likely, it's not like in, the original, like Batman 89, or even in the comic books where he just comes out looking Joker-fied already from the acid. I'm like, no, he fell in a vat of acid and chemicals.
Right.
Realistically, he's supposed to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to look jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just assume Joker was going by his Red Hood persona. Let's just assume that he locked them up when he was doing Red Hood things.
Mm-hmm.
So he's sitting in Arkham. The chemicals already got his mind jacked up. He's already screwed up. So the reason why, and I think a lot of people are appreciating this deleted scene, is because it's like many people, it's setting up the lore and the relationship between Batman and the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to figure. He said 1 year anniversary, which means Joker's been locked up in Arkham for a year.
Right.
This is his second year. This is his second year going. So now he's dealing with the Riddler. There's been times, not even just on TV or cartoons, in comic books where Batman has went to other criminals to get information.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's the Penguin, or whether it's Mr. Freeze, or whether it is the Riddler. He has from time to time, visited or, scared the mess out of other criminals to get information out of them. He does the low level criminals. So I agree with what you're saying, Michael. Like I think that's why so many people feel like that deleted scene would have fit right into the movie. And I also agree, this movie did spend a little bit too much time on Selina. It's like, I understand why she's in it. This movie is partly based on a Long Halloween, and in the Long Halloween, it is established that Selina is like the, illegitimate child of Carmine Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
That's already established. So, but I'm just going based on just some of the different lore aspects that they've taken. Like there's been times where Batman has visited criminals in Arkham or in jail to get more information, even though they're already locked up. It's the same thing with the Riddler scene.
So Corey, let me ask you this. Maybe not just because he was there, but how it was directed and acted out. Because Batman definitely wasn't confident. It was almost like, can you help me? Even though he wasn't overly begging, you kind of saw it in his eye. There wasn't that like, hey, what do you know? What do you think? It should have been delivered more cold.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The tone of that scene did not fit in with the tone of the movie. I understand, like, you're building the lore, but that's what I mean. Like, with all this lore building, that one scene would have convoluted the already messed up story, because it's not even established is this Hush and Riddler. According to, what's his name, Matt Reeves, the director, it's just the Riddler, and he wanted to put in Hush breadcrumbs. Like, we saw it on the screen, like Hush. And
then
like,
also like the IDs,
Right. So that's what I'm like.
But what do you think
is
of
this
that?
Riddler or Hush? He said
Just
Riddler.
in general,
So
all of you, what do you? They put the stamp that it's the Riddler, but he was acting like Hush. So what do you guys think of that? Like, do you think that's a wise choice, or they should have kept it at two separate people?
I will admit, like, and this is just my personal opinion. Like, I honestly would have felt better. And then I'm saying I didn't hate the Riddler in this movie. I didn't.
honestly speaking, I think there's like other elements in the movie that I enjoyed more than the Riddler aspect.
Mm.
But I think, and I've heard a lot of other people make this suggestion too. Like, and I know, like, there's a lot of different films that take ideas input into this. Like, people talking about Seven or Saw and
Right.
a couple of things that are incorporated into like making up this world. I've always been partial to the idea of, and I'm even kind of going back to the Arkham games, whereas like I'm okay with the Riddler setting up traps all over the city,
Right.
and it kind of being kind of like a Saw type of deal. Maybe they're not necessarily set up to kill, but there are traps that are like that kind of seem a little bit hard to solve. So I think going the jigsaw aspect actually would have worked better for it. Mm-hmm. But the Hush character, that the Hush is a very unique character, and he deserves his own movie.
Exactly.
I agree 100%.
He deserves his own movie.
And you know what? We're going to, those who are watching us live, continue to watch us live. Those who are watching on cable, thank you for watching us. You could always watch the other part to this on our GEEKCASTER.com or vice versa. Watch it there and see it there, cable, whatever you want to do. But those who are watching live, just stay tuned. We're going to keep going. Part 2, but we're going to end this edition. So thank you very much for watching. Everybody, give everybody out there your social media.
Dayveonne Bussey on Instagram and Facebook, and Shamal Williams on Twitter, and Shamal Williams on Twitch.
You can find me, Corey Davis, at I am GT3 on all of the things.
All you have to type in is dreadlock no K blurred, BLERD. I'm everywhere. Instagram, Facebook.
Why you sound like a villain? I'm everywhere. Like the film, I'm everywhere.
We found our new Hush.
I'm vengeance. I'm Michael7 Michael on IG, and you can check us out again, GEEKCASTER.com. If you go to GeekCastle.com, you can see where you can find us on cable. Thank you very much. And we're going to quiet down, play some music, and then again, live on Twitch. Just wait for us. We're coming right back. We will be there. You're watching GeekCaster.